welcome to NEK-TV Rocks. And my guests today are Pastor Larry Walls, Todd Huffner.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about hospice care.
Go.
What's happening?
Yeah, well, Pam, thank you for having us. It's a delight and a privilege and an honor to be here to talk about Hospice House, the Living Waters Hospice House. And this is a vision that's been in the making for quite some time. And we are now getting down to the wire, so to speak. And we are looking to break ground this June 2024. And we are needing financial help still, as always.
Of course.
And just want the community to be aware of this. We've just experienced so many times people that would like to go on hospice, go in their home, which is what hospice is all about.
Right.
Being able to go to your home and spend your last days there.
Right.
But sometimes that's not possible.
Right.
And
the alternatives that we have.
yeah,
up
the
here
alternatives
are not really what we
are
want.
nursing homes, hospital. That's all we have.
Right.
They're just not geared for that.
No.
The rooms are small, and if you have a family that wants to gather there, it's just just not conducive to a relaxed atmosphere. And so this hospice house will have large rooms with a pull-out couch, with recliner, so family members can really feel at home there. And
Can you explain exactly what hospice is? Because although
Yes.
we know, not everybody does.
no, and that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's a lot of people that don't understand that, and the difference between palliative care
Right.
and hospice.
Exactly.
When you sign on for hospice, it means that you now are agreeing not to take any kind of treatment that will prolong your life.
Right.
So you are resigned to the fact that you're ready to cross over to the other side. And so hospice will bring you comfort and medication that will bring you comfort, but it also is pulling together a network
Right.
of caregivers. Family, first and foremost, family, clergy, the medical field, and volunteers. So it's putting together a network of people that can make this actually a beautiful process, really.
Right.
And what we're doing, and again, people misunderstand. I've been asked, well, how's your nursing home coming along?
I know. You'll keep hearing that.
Yeah, and being in the Northeast Kingdom for quite some time, and I've served on several boards. I was on the board of Northeast Kingdom Human Services, and just observing what goes on here. We have to get out of the silo mentality, and if anything's going to get done in the NEK, we have to collaborate.
Right.
And so we're going to collaborate with the VNA, Vermont Nurses Association, and Hospice. So what we are providing is the home.
Right.
They will provide the medical side. And so we provide the home with the director and volunteers.
Right.
And our director, Carol Comtois, is very familiar with hospice. She's been a hospice nurse and actually worked for the VNA and now is on per diem there. But this is her vision, actually,
Right.
Carol Comtois. So you resign yourself to the fact that you're ready to die. Just, use that word, ready to die. And then we'll make it a beautiful experience for you and for your family. No stress, no, just the next best thing to being at home. And in some cases, even better.
I was just thinking that.
So, one of the people on our board, she had an experience when her husband was at a nursing home. I won't name the nursing home, but they were full, and he had a roommate, And he was, spending his last days, and the family was there, and the roommate was rude, the roommate was loud, the roommate would complain and just scream and yell while her husband is spending his last days.
Right.
And there was nothing they could do. There was
nowhere
else to
Right.
put him. And so she got on the board. She says, I don't want this to happen to anybody. I want people to be able to die with dignity.
And peace.
And peace,
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what we want to do.
So where do you come into this?
Yeah, so I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, and have a good friend here, Rick Ufford Chase, who
Yes.
contacted me a year or so back. And I do nonprofit consulting work, but at a very reduced level in terms of what we charge for the groups, so that we can work with groups like the Hospice House, doing great
great.
work,
Yeah.
very committed people, passionate about what they're doing, and just need some help getting the funds together that they need to do the project. So that's my role. I'm here to help make asks on local businesses, local families, local foundations, folks that will invest in this work. They need
So
to.
you're from an organization?
I am, yeah. Hope Manifest.
Huh.
HopeManifest.org is our website. But yeah, we do this. We've worked now with about 76 different organizations around the country and really around the world, also doing clean water projects. And everything from annual funding projects to capital funds like this.
When you say clean water, do you mean water in the literal sense, or?
I do. Yeah. Clean water projects in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, in Ecuador, and different places, Peru, different places around the globe. Yeah.
Well, this is something a little different, although your title is about water.
That's right.
Yeah.
Living waters, yeah.
This is, we've never really had the opportunity to work with a hospice directly like this before. And my wife and I think I was sharing with you, my wife and I, just in the fall, had the opportunity. Her father became terminally ill and passed away. And it was our first interaction, really, with a hospice care program like this. We couldn't have made it. My wife, honestly, she's an only child. We couldn't have made it without the hospice team, the network of individuals Larry speaks of that that really supported us in not just in the crossing over for him, but in the aftermath of that, the emotional work and all that. Just a powerful group of folks that worked with us.
The hospice movement is wonderful.
It really is,
And as Larry knows, because he's married to somebody with my accent,
Yeah.
it started in the UK and it had been going on for a long time there before it sort of moved into other areas as well.
Yeah, very
It's
often you'll
amazing.
see churches that have care teams or a care team project that work like this that will expand into something like the Hospice House.
Yeah.
But it's just getting to know their board and the folks involved, such great passion, and people coming to it really out of their own experience or their own medical work, as Larry said, like with Carol, folks that have been involved and seen it close at hand, very close at hand. So
Is it going to be a requirement that those who come to spend their last days at the hospice be part of your church?
No. This is a community thing.
Cool.
Yeah, for the community. Our church is community. Yeah, that's what we're engaged in. Let me share with you that we've been engaged in this kind of thing since I arrived here. I've been here 34 years, but when I first arrived, we had a church on the Lane Road, and mine has always been about preparing people to do works of service. That's what I see myself as my pastoral role, a coach that equips people to do the work. And at that time, they were doing, the VNA was training people to do hospice care, and a gal by the name of Judy Adams was doing the training. This was years ago. And they had the training over at the church here, the Newport United Church. And I said, wow, what an opportunity. And I engaged the folk, and we had like 14 volunteers that wanted to be a part of that. Yeah. And so we went through the training, and they went through the training, and we got engaged. And shortly after they were all trained, we had a lady who had terminal cancer, and her husband had to go to work. And so needed someone to be in the house while he was at work. So we did a rotation. And so every 2 hours, someone from that group would be there to sit with her around, it was from 7 in the morning till 5:30 in the afternoon. And it just worked really well for him.
Yeah, and that's the care team we're talking about.
Right.
Care team
And
mentality.
so we
They
had that
provide
care team.
food,
Yeah.
just general.
And then we had some that went into a deeper training that got trained on how to turn someone over and do that
Right.
level. They had different levels. But then folks that would just sit and it was just a blessing to the husband because he could go to work and not worry about things.
Right. And people have to go to work.
That's right.
Absolutely. I think that the most remarkable thing to me, Pam, is being up here. Like when my father-in-law became ill, terminally ill, we had options for 5 or 6 different facilities in northern Alabama for residential hospice care, in addition to hospice care that occurs at home.
Right.
Services that provide that. And probably the biggest learning curve for me here has been how very few facilities there are like this.
Right.
In this entire portion of the state,
Yes.
there exists nothing like this.
This is true.
So
The whole state.
the whole state. There's
Pretty
only
much.
one other hospice, one other residential hospice facility in state
Yeah.
like this, and so it's just a critical piece of the community, I would think, for folks to
Right.
get behind this and support it. I would
Yeah.
hope.
And
Yeah.
back in the days when people had very large families and it was possible to care for somebody
Sure.
at home,
Yeah.
those days are long gone.
Yeah.
Long gone.
The
Yeah.
smaller family unit or people who have outlived all their family members.
Right.
So many folks have moved off or whatever. They
Yeah.
just don't have the support system you once
Right.
did
Yeah.
in the familial sense.
We don't have transport either.
Yes.
Right.
We have
Yeah.
so few resources in that way without something
Yeah.
like this
I spoke
happening.
with someone yesterday in Danville who, her company, I think, is going to be a generous donor to the project.
Great.
And talking with her, she said, it's a 2.5, maybe 3-hour drive for somebody who has a father or a mother or a sister or brother in hospice care like this to get to a residential facility like
Yeah.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's a one-way drive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the round trip is 6 hours,
Yeah.
and then trying to spend the time caring for the person. You just exhaust people. You exhaust
Yeah.
the caregiver
That's
at that
true.
point.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
this is great for both the family member who's passing away, passing over, as well as for the caregiver.
Living up here, it's 2 hours to a medical appointment.
I just
Yeah.
learned this yesterday. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
stunned.
Nuts.
Yeah, I
It's
was
nuts.
just stunned by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know of a good friend that is going to be a great contributor whose mother, of course it was during COVID, ended up going to Colchester. And because there wasn't anything available here. And when I showed him the design of our rooms, they were very similar to what he experienced, with the pull-out couch. And he
Right.
remembers being able to pull out the couch and just sleep there with his mom. But again, Colchester. And with Kelly, he was in Dartmouth for a while, and then ended up, it was either Colchester or Concord, New Hampshire.
That's
Now-
a long way. That's 90 miles.
That's right. But it was really great that he was able to spend his last days
Right.
there, and it was a nice room,
Yeah.
and it was spacious and private and really nice. But so the need is
It's real.
Is there.
I took a trip through your website.
Did you?
Very often I don't do that before I do a show because I like it all to be sort of fresh and a surprise.
yeah.
But I wanted to look through it anyway, so I did. The design that you have is beautiful.
yes.
Who did the design?
The original design was Mark Stewart.
Sharon
and
Stewart's mom?
Sharon Stewart,
Wow,
yeah, Sharon
that's
Stewart.
really local.
And he actually designed our church as well. But when we asked him about it, he had the same situation with his dad, and so he jumped right on it. He said, "This is great." The original design was to be far larger. It was going to be not a house, but a big facility.
Of course.
And so then in the process,
Reality struck.
and so we brought it down to two rooms and made it more of a home than a facility, which is nice. and there's room for expansion.
Right.
But Bill Hansen, Mark's right-hand man, because Mark, actually it was the day before he passed away. We were there. My friend Tim Ingalls and myself, we were there, and he pointed to Bill and he says he's going to take care of you.
Right.
And Bill has been great, and so Bill did that design. So we could say Mark Stewart and Bill Hansen.
Right.
And Bill donated a lot of his time, and he's a great guy.
What an incredible legacy, though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's
what
right.
an
It really
incredible
is.
legacy.
Yeah.
It really is.
And his office is close to Rick's.
Oh, is it
Yeah,
really?
he's upstairs.
I'll be.
Yeah.
And Mark was very well known in the community.
Mark was a
and
wonderful man.
He was.
Yeah.
And his illness was very well known. I mean, this
Yeah.
was not a secretive
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
process.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cancer is no respecter of anyone.
No.
It's not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, part of what goes on in a capital campaign like this, you have to hopefully plan in such a way not only that it can be expanded, and in this case it is. It's got 2 hospice rooms as they began, and 1 room for a caregiver as well
Right.
that can later be converted
Yeah.
to a 3rd hospice room should they need it, and even beyond that if they need to expand. But in this case, they've got really 3 parts that they're trying. We've got to raise about $1.5 million, which is a step, yeah? It's a pretty good step.
Those are
And-
numbers most of us don't think in.
well, and
Yeah.
so we're trying to help people know, hey, this is something you can do over a 3-year period or even a 5-year period if that helps. You make a commitment to the campaign that might help. And so you've got basically an $800,000 construction of the facility itself. Another couple $100,000 in furnishings, hospital beds, everything you would imagine. And then another $400,000 or $500,000 that basically helps get them through the first several years of operation, so that once they begin to get reimbursed, that then it's it carries itself from that point forward. So yeah,
It's a lot of groundwork.
it
Yes.
is. Yeah, and it's a lot of planning and.
Yeah.
And you have a track record.
Well, I have a track record, but let me tell you, I've stepped into the stream and the water was already coming at us. The living water was already coming.
Yeah.
They've done an incredible amount
Yeah.
of planning to this point.
Yeah.
And I'm just stepping into the stream for a time
Yeah.
to help carry this part of it. And they'll, long after I'm gone, continue the care of
Yeah, I
individuals.
mean, Larry's
with this.
organization is very well known up here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And your feet are in so many different
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah. Well, that's because it's all about the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a great community resource and a great
Yeah.
community project, I should think.
Yeah.
The other thing, Pam, is that we're not going to charge. It's going to be by donation. Okay.
That is, you mean for someone
For someone coming.
Right.
You know. So.
Will you take their insurance if their insurance does contribute? Because some insurance does,
To
some
some,
doesn't.
to whatever, you
Because
know.
VNA can do that part.
Yeah,
of it.
VNA, the
Yeah.
VNA, the VNA will do the intake and all of that. Now, we will have a suggested donation, but if
Sure.
you can't do that, you're still welcome, you know.
Right.
You know, we're not going to say you can't come here because you can't pay. You come.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It just meets,
Whomsoever will may come.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
it meets the need, right?
Yeah.
It meets the
Yes.
need in a very generous way, I think,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the community.
Yeah, I can imagine that you're going to get a lot of comments about only 2 beds,
Yeah.
but you
Well,
start where you
we're
are.
just starting. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's 2 more
It's
than
better
there are
than no
today.
beds.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
2 more than today. So.
Yeah.
And it will
Yeah.
be 2 very important beds.
Yeah.
Indeed.
In full disclosure here, I used to work with VNA.
Yeah.
Oh, did you
And
really?
and I had worked in hospice care to some
Yeah.
extent in another country too.
Yeah.
So I know how few resources there
Oh,
are.
and you know
Yeah.
how important it is.
Absolutely.
You watch people that
Absolutely.
it humanizes the end of life process.
Yeah.
It really does.
It does, absolutely.
It lets the individual passing maintain their humanity and the family. It really, you
Right.
gather around, and it's what a community, it's what a village should do for their
Yeah.
Right.
individuals.
And when it can happen in somebody's own home, that's wonderful.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so often it can't.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, it,
I consider myself lucky to be involved in the project. It's one of those that
Yeah.
I'm tickled that Rick contacted me and that I've gotten to know Pastor Larry and the entire board at Living Waters is just it's what I like to do.
Yeah.
You get to help folks.
And I met Rick through a community, through a member from Magog Community Maritime. He came to a meeting.
Course. Yes.
And then he started sharing his background, and we hit it off. Yeah.
And you said, "Do I have something for you?"
Yeah, right.
Well, he said, I want in
I
on
want
this.
in.
Yeah, because this community needs something like this.
Yes.
Yeah. And so.
Yeah, I love the way that, I mean, community took a hard knock here for
Yes.
a while, and COVID didn't help that.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I really love the way that it is coming back.
Yes.
Really is, and
Yeah.
strongly.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
tentative.
Yeah. And I certainly appreciate all you do for this community and your involvement. Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
it's worth being involved.
Yeah.
I'd be so bored if I wasn't, wouldn't you?
Right, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I had someone ask me yesterday. They heard, obviously, I don't speak like everyone around here.
Well, neither do I.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's the intrigue. The intrigue is here we sit, a northeasterner to be sure.
Yeah,
a
but he's
Brit.
not
No, I'm not a
genetically
I found this out yesterday. You from across the pond, and me
Right.
from certainly south
Deep
south of the
south.
border, as it
Yeah.
were, south of town. But this lady asked me yesterday. She said, "Where are you from?" You know, I can tell
Mars.
you're not from here. I said, "Upstate New York." You can't tell.
Right.
You can't tell by the accent. But no, what a wonderful thing for folks with to have come together in a place like this and,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
put what they've got into it, and your energy and Pastor Larry's energy. It's just, I really do. What a great place to be. So
Yeah, it really is.
yeah, and doing what we should do for folks at the end of their life.
And although people on the other end of the screen are not going to see it, if they looked outside right now, we're blanketed in snow,
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was.
just to make it even more beautiful.
Larry said it was the springtime welcome to the Northeast
Yeah.
Kingdom. So
Yeah.
It's not something you're going to get in Alabama very
not
often.
not often, not too
No.
often. So
No.
yeah.
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 I know that what you're going to want is money, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but what else? I mean, this is a project that's community.
Yes.
How can community be involved?
Oh, well, once we get it up and running, there will be, space for volunteers, and of course they'll have to be trained.
Of course.
But, if you want to volunteer and help in that way, different areas where people can be involved if they'd like to. I already have a bunch of them. When are you going to build it? I want to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Help
Well, maybe you
with doing
can-
laundry, stuff like
Sure.
that.
I think just about the beautification of it too.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
exterior and all of that.
The
Yeah.
flowers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're helping.
Exactly.
You're helping
Yeah.
someone cross over
Yeah.
and making a beautiful
Yeah.
space in that time.
Yeah.
And for the family members, but it's
Yeah.
it's just such an important
Yeah.
point in someone's life. I think
Right.
to do it and do it well. So
What about volunteers before then, though? Because you're talking about building. And
Yeah.
there are lots of people with building skills and
Yeah.
things like that.
We have that covered, and I have professionals that are going to give their time and that kind of thing. Yeah. So we're pretty well covered with the construction of it and
So
that.
most of your construction is, quote, volunteer too.
Well, I wouldn't say
Or
volunteer,
assisted
but
volunteer.
they're gonna take care of us. But
Yeah.
because it has to follow code and those kinds of things,
Absolutely.
we want.
Yeah.
We want. We can have some volunteers maybe to do some staining or whatever, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
So when it comes to building the gardens around here,
Yes,
absolutely,
we could use volunteers for that, and Sally Ann can direct it.
right?
She
Oh, I'm
knows all
sure.
about gardens.
Yeah, well, she's got the right gene pool,
That's
doesn't
right.
she?
Yeah, yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Have you been to the site yet?
I have. Just
Yeah.
yesterday was my first time there, and it's so perfectly laid out. It's just and so well situated for the
Yeah.
area. It's
Yeah.
easy access to the interstate, to folks that would be coming
Right.
on and off the interstate, and certainly from around the immediate area as well. But
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful spot, right? There's a garden just
Yes,
outside the
that's what
front,
there is.
and
And there's chickens too.
and the chickens that are there. Yeah, so it should be a lovely spot, I
yeah,
think.
and a huge vegetable garden
Yeah.
next door.
Yeah.
So they'll have fresh vegetables if they
Of
want.
course.
Yeah.
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 Are you, see how to put this, are you going to take residents, patients, whatever word you want to use, from all over the state, or just up here?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question, but I think that the greater NEK area will probably keep it pretty well.
Oh, I would think so.
Pretty well full.
Packed,
Yeah.
I just got here yesterday and started
Yeah.
meeting with folks yesterday morning in earnest, and I've already run across 4 different people who've said to me, I wish we had had this when my mother passed.
Absolutely.
Or I've just recently come through this with my father
Yeah.
and had to drive 2 or 3 hours for this. And gosh, what a facility.
Yeah.
I can't imagine there's not enough demand
Yeah.
Oh, there's
for
demand.
this.
Not even a question.
Yeah, I should imagine. So
Yeah.
it's. I think you'll have all the business opportunity you need at that point. It'll
Yeah.
stay busy, I think. Well, even someone told me yesterday that trying to get in and out of palliative care with folks at the local hospital or different places, they just stay so busy. You know, they stay
Yeah.
they
The
incredibly
nearest
busy.
palliative care, I think, is Dartmouth Hitchcock, and that's more than an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hour and 45 minutes if you drive fast. I
I
allow
was,
2.
I was thinking I
and a
can do
little
it
bit.
in an hour and 35, but
Now they have a wonderful hospice
Yes,
house
they
across
do.
the way, the Jack Byron Hospice House, and that has, I think, 20 beds, and that's full all the time.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's
And their
beautiful.
palliative
I bet.
care program is pretty much
Yes.
full all the time,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, great
So-
demand for this, I
Yeah.
think.
yeah.
So
But that's a long way for people
It
from up
is.
here.
It is.
It's hard for visiting. There's no public transportation.
Yeah.
sure. Well,
Yeah.
just imagine, as you say, someone who works all day or is regularly
Yeah.
working and
Right.
trying to care for someone in this situation and not able to get to them easily.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's just,
Ex-
it's really an
it- it
And
will
very
exhaust
often
them.
caring for a family at home, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Crazy
Yeah.
making.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It really is. But it's a neat project. It's a
Absolutely.
neat project. So
Yeah. So who knows about it? I vaguely remember hearing something about it a while ago, and
Yeah,
then
everybody,
haven't heard anything else.
A lot of people know.
Good.
A lot of people know, but I would say go to the website, livingwatershospicehouse.org, livingwatershospicehouse.org, and there you'll get all the information. There's also a donate button there, and there are a lot of different ways that you can give, as Todd was saying. You know, you can do it on a monthly basis, one time, however way you want to, you know, become involved and be a part of it.
yeah, and I've already had some folks ask, because you've got particularly folks that are, as they're aging, they're thinking about these things, right? And they want to know.
That's the rumor.
Well,
Yeah.
my father.
Many of us practice in
Yeah.
denial, don't we, Larry?
Yeah.
Well, I've got an 86-year-old father, I was telling Larry, who still teaches a full course load at the college level.
Right.
And I keep saying, why don't you retire? Retire. He said, if I
Or
retire, I'm dead in 4 weeks. I'm not
Yeah.
interested
Yep.
in this. And so, but you do sit there and wonder, as this goes on and as the project kind of comes out of the ground and people are aware, so many folks who are getting close, and I've already had a couple on this visit say, hey, can I make an IRA distribution out of what I've got to give away each
Yeah.
year as a mandatory distribution? Absolutely you can, and that's an appropriate way to give. So
That's actually a really useful piece of information.
yeah,
'cause-
gifts of appreciated
Yeah.
stock or out of a retirement fund or an IRA or
Sure.
something like that. So, a lot of times folks don't think about that, but that's a very
Right.
appropriate way and a tax favorable way to give as well. So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to do it like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that would never have crossed my mind.
Yeah, well, and
You know, those of us who don't think in terms of dollars other
Yeah.
than, do
Sure.
I have enough to pay my rent or
Yeah.
whatever?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, so
And
if
there's a lot of us like that.
Right.
and if there are folks like that, I would say, just call Larry at the church and we can be in touch, and I
Yeah.
can be in
Right.
touch with them about how
Yeah.
very easily to do that. It's
Yeah.
very easily accomplished. So
Great. How did the name Living Waters come about?
That was the board that came up with that. Carol and Lisa, Carol Comtois,
Yeah.
Lisa St. Marie, they're sisters. They're both nurses. I don't know. I think that the reason is that to instill that dying is a part of living.
It is.
You know, and so that even in your last stages of life, you can have life through that process. You can have living waters. You know.
That's great.
And
water is this beautiful flowing
yes.
image that.
Yeah. And we're going to have a nice big fountain in there to bring peace and serenity.
Yeah.
That's great.
Living waters. Yeah. Like in the 23rd Psalm, it says, "He leads me by the still waters."
Right.
You know. So that it kind of, you know, the thought of soothing, something soothing. That I think that's why they came up with it. And I just said, that's cool, that's okay.
It is.
That sounds good to me.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
It is a nice name.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, I heard it when you said it to me.
Yeah.
And I sort of wrote it down but didn't pay attention. And then I thought, I wonder if he really did say that. And obviously I looked and I thought, oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, each of the board members has so invested themselves, their time particularly,
Right.
as well as their own gifts and
Yeah.
their own financial gifts, I should say. And so you've got these folks who, it really kind of is coming out of who they are, I think,
Right.
which is also some of that imagery. I mean, it really is about stepping into the water with folks as they're dipping their toes finally into the water to cross over, I think. And so, you know, it's an appropriate name. Very appropriate name.
So in the last couple of minutes, what do you want to leave people with as an invitation, really?
Well, for me, again, one of the things that, because of what you mentioned, you know, about our community, that this is a tremendous opportunity for the community to come together and bring our resources and ideas and all of that together, and also like we're partnering with another agency, and to come together to really make a difference, you know. And so this is an opportunity, actually a privilege, but an opportunity. Don't miss out on the opportunity to really be a blessing to your community in helping people go through the last stages of their life with dignity and you know, a overall positive experience.
I can think of no greater investment at that point. I really can't. To help somebody do this well, both the family member and also the person crossing. And so the invitation is, you know, think about what you can do financially, or if you can help connect us to foundations or businesses, and to the extent you can, go on the website at Living Waters or contact Larry at the church, and he'll get the information to us. I guess one thing we didn't really touch on, I'm not much of an arm twister or putting a knee in my back and trying to, I see my role as facilitating the opportunity that's before you and inviting the community in to give at whatever level is appropriate for them. So I'd ask everybody who's looking or watching this, you know, consider what you can do. Consider any gift. No gift is too small for this.
That's right.
Right.
And so,
recognizing just how important a hospice is to our community,
It
really
to our
is.
area.
Yeah. It helps everything from retention of business. I mean, anything you can imagine, it would help. It just makes life better here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for coming in.
Thank you for having
you.
us.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Pam.
It's fun.
What a delight.
All right.
Thank you.